Hello and welcome to the news at 6. The news is live on Joy 99.7 and hits 103.9 FM in Accra, in Kumasi, on Love 99.5 FM, Facebook live stream, and over 30 affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions, including Kalio FM 107.3, Akachi, Radio Max 105.1 FM Takrade, and Rich 104.9 FM Tamale. Get radio, TV, and online content on the myjoyonline.com interactive app for Android and iOS devices. Coming up, Office of the Vice President disassociated itself from an administrator caught up in the Special Prosecutor's probe into imported rice scandal. We have details. Also, senior economist questions government inclusion of conditionality in the payments of coupon and maturing principals as worrying, describing it as an unhealthy show of power by the Finance Ministry.
There is risk, there is probability that we may not be able to pay, and that is why government is embarking upon the preemptive debt restructuring largely.
And a bit later in business,
14 billion cedis worth of eligible bondholders did not participate in domestic debt exchange program after Finance Ministry pegged subscription rate at 85% in final result.
Also coming up, West Africa Center for Counter-Terrorism admonishes Ghana to strengthen security strategy to avoid spillover of terrorist threats from conflict-ravaged Burkina Faso.
Ghana is lucky at the moment that we haven't had attacks yet, and so we still have the luxury of dealing with the threat from a preventive perspective.
Details of all these stories and more coming up. This is Joy News, independent, fearless and credible. My name is Mamavi Owusu-Aboagye. Details of the stories now. The Office of the Vice President has dissociated itself from an administrator caught up in the Special Prosecutor's probe into the imported rice scandal. James Kekosei is alleged to have written to the Customs Division of the GRA, directing the release of rice to a businessman who had been accused of using forged document to attempt to clear another person's rice. He is said to have claimed the office needed the rice for Ramadan celebrations. Joseph Akabley joins me in studio with more. Joseph, what are the other details contained in the statement?
So the statement indicates that sometime in April 2022, Mr. Kekosei addressed an unauthorized letter to the Commissioner General of the GRA seeking assistance in clearing 15 containers of rice. Among others, the letter falsely conveyed that the office needed the containers of rice for Ramadan festivities. The GRA did not comply with the letter but rather informed him there was another claimant to the rice. On receipt of this information, Mr. Osei wrote another letter to withdraw his letter. In his second letter, he stated that the Commissioner should cancel any prior action taken based on the previous letter. In September, it came to the attention of the Office of the Vice President and Mr. Kekosei had been invited to the Office of Special Prosecutor to assist in investigation. The statement indicates that it is aware of the investigation that has been done by the OSP, and also internal investigations have started against Mr. Kekosei in line with the rules of the civil service.
And that's my colleague Joseph Akabley with details of a statement issued by the Office of the Vice President. Now, senior economist at the University of Ghana Business School, Professor Godfred Buckbing, is questioning the government's inclusion of some conditions in the payment of coupons and maturing principals as worrying. The Finance Ministry, in a statement on Monday, reassured individual bondholders that it will pay coupons and maturing principals in line with government's fiscal commitments. But speaking to Joy News, Professor Buckbing said the ministry should be more interested in restoring market confidence instead of unhealthy show of power.
Government target was 80%. You have achieved that. That in itself implies that you were anticipating that some bondholders will not surrender, will not swap their old bonds for the new ones. But the point is that at this stage, there's no point in demonstrating or show of power.
Meanwhile, convener of the individual bondholders, Martin Pigbu, says they will not back down in their demands for government to formally exempt their members and pay their expected bonds.
That's correct, Evans. We have to continue. Because, Evans, you just, from morning, we've been doubting the meaning of in line with government's fiscal commitment. And now you see how the professors are explaining the phrase. I told you from day one that Mr. Fuyata could not be trusted. And that's what he's doing.
And that's Martin Pebu speaking on PM Express last night. Well, on his part, convener of the pension bondholders, Dr. Edu Ananientri, said they will also be compelled to go to court if government fails to honor its commitment to pay the coupons on the advertised dates. Well, now the management of the University of Ghana says it is yet to take a decision on a court order restraining it from implementing a residential policy that saw continuing students of the Commonwealth Hall losing their rooms to level 100 and graduate students. Speaking to Joy News, a lecturer, Professor William Aboagye, said the university got the court order on Tuesday but fell short of answering whether the university will heed the court's directive, as he says level 100 students have already occupied the rooms. We'll be hearing from him in a moment, but first, some 18 former residents of Commonwealth Hall were arrested on Tuesday by the Legon police after they clashed with them over the court order. Here's Prince Owusu-Aboagye's report read to you.
The students say the management of the university has refused to admit the continuing students, contrary to the court's order. Eugene Bediaku Jr. is the leader of the aggrieved students.
So what we were expecting from members of management was to update our MIS web so that we will see Commonwealth Hall there and then go and make payments. And after we come here, we'll do manual registration and then we'll be given rooms.
The aggrieved students protested against the school's management, demanding them to respect the court order and admit continuing students in the halls.
Boss, we want to make it emphatic clear today that the stone silent by the university management not to kowtow to the decision of the court is what? Tantamount to perjury. It is tantamount to unlawfulness. And we want to let them know that we, the descendants of Father Bacchus, can never be intimidated.
But tension escalated as police and students were involved in scuffles over the school's silence on accommodation after an Accra High Court placed injunction on the implementation of the residential policy.
And that's Prince Owusu-Aboagye's report read to you. We can now hear from Professor William Aboagye. He speaks for the University of Ghana.
The university only got a copy of the court order this evening. And therefore, you cannot just listen to radio and say the court has given an order and therefore you just go and do anything. It is not as easy as you are saying. Remember, school reopened in the middle of January. This policy has been implemented since January. We have level 100 students who have been given accommodation. So if you want to enforce the court order, you want to eject the level 100 students and forcibly put students there.
And that's the University of Ghana's Professor William Aboagye. Meanwhile, the Ghana Police Service says 18 people who were arrested for the disturbances will be prosecuted. The police says it has beefed up security on campus. In most parts of northern Ghana, drought conditions make the cultivation of maize a highly water-dependent crop an uphill task. As a result, maize yields have been low for many farmers. But some of them seem to have found an alternative crop that gives them relatively higher yields but requires less water: sorghum. This week on Climate Focus, our correspondent Mahmoud Nuruddin Mohammed speaks to one farmer in the Upper West region who has switched to sorghum cultivation to adapt to dry spells in his community.
Since 2010, Alhaji Dabo, who only grew enough to feed his family and sold the surplus, has shifted to sorghum, a drought-tolerant crop that does not require expensive imports.
Because I keep here fast.
Sorghum grows quickly. If you cultivate maize and there are any other weather delays, you will not get anything. You will not get a good yield if you don't apply fertilizer. I didn't apply fertilizer on my farm, and some people were even surprised by how well the farm is doing.
Alhaji Dabo says he plants his own sorghum seeds, which he stores for subsequent seasons, a decision he believes is something good farmers should do.
Farmers shouldn't rely on cooperation for their seed needs. Why should they depend on the farm for a living while neglecting to save seeds for later seasons?
Mahmoud Nuruddin Mohammed's report. Now, 6 years after 7 of their classmates died, another collapsed of their classroom block. Pupils in Breman Jamra wait in fear for a decent classroom. To avert another disaster, Joy News, in collaboration with Star Ghana, have commenced the construction of structures for the kindergarten and primary sections of the school under the classroom project. An estimated 100,000 Ghana cedis is needed to complete the project. Let the plea of these children move you to give towards the projects.
It is dangerous for us to learn in. When the rain enter the classroom will be very dirty here. So we don't want this class again.
Send your donations to the mobile money number 0593038832 and the account number if you're writing a check to Multimedia Group Limited /Joy OPS, and the bank is Access Bank Ghana. Account number is 009010105491, and the branch is Castle Road, Accra. Branch code 009, and the Swift code is ABNG GHACC. We thank you for giving. And before we go, Ghana must up its game in strengthening security and intelligence around border towns close to Burkina Faso to avert a spillover of terrorist threats. That's coming from security experts who fear recent military strike in Burkina Faso could come close home. And that's it for the news at 6. Our top story this hour. Office of the Vice President dissociates itself from an administrator caught up in a special prosecutor's probe into imported rice scandal. We brought you details of that. Please log on to myjoyonline.com for more news. My name is Mamavi Owusu-Aboagye. Thanks for listening.
Bobo, so how your engine now? It is half man, half amazing. Thanks to Cause and you can feel better energy.